The current tax system is too complex. Compliance is expensive. Faulty incentives make for poor decisions. Some groups are unfairly targeted, and accumulation of productive capital just isn't sufficient to create jobs. There's a large untaxed underground economy in America today that must be brought within the legal system. Every American should make at least some contribution to our taxes. Considering the dangerous deficit position the U.S. finds itself in, the biggest reform coming is our government's need for a lot more revenue. The trouble is, giving more tax income to the current administration is like giving heroin to a drug addict. To be fair to taxpayers, any tax increases must be matched with very substantial spending cuts. We must make significant headway on the crippling deficits we now face. American taxpayers deserve assurance that if they're called to sacrifice for this great nation, that all interest holders will also sacrifice with budget cuts. Isn't this the message voters delivered in the 2010 midterm election? I've always been proud of the tax contribution I've made to my country. But face it, every dollar taken out of private hands weakens our economy. Conservatives believe in low taxes. An extra dollar in the hands of a private citizen becomes $10 or $20 in jobs, spending, and prosperity, whereas a dollar in taxes is simply spent, often wastefully. Call this the freedom equation. Unfortunately for America, the damage has already been done. Leaders who have already spent our wealth should have considered the downside to their risky policies. Congress only acts on tax reform when the very safety and soundness of the nation is at stake. The consequences of not righting our fiscal position warrants the risk of change and demands bold action. To allow the foolhardy, reckless spending to continue is to court disaster. So yes, tax reform is integral, but only as a part of America doing its business in a much more efficient manner and cutting spending. Through action, the overhang of uncertainty can be broken and our economy can regain its previous resiliency. In our long history, the nation has mobilized for war and disasters both. Past American leaders have repeatedly made tough calls. External threats and enemies are far easier to recognize than internal ones, but ignoring the growing risk is simply not an option any longer. A vote now for truth and honesty will return liberty and guarantee freedom into the future.